Welcome to yet another episode of the EZANZ podcast. We are at episode number 49 this week, which means 50 is next week, and that is our exciting E3 podcast. We're hyping it up already. We hyped it up a little bit last week, but we're going to have so much fun stuff coming to you next week. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be fun this week, right, guys?
Exactly.
We're all fun.
Exactly.
You're fun.
We're all fun.
Fun times.
I've got the amazing AP, who's like swiftly becoming the most regular person on this podcast. We have DMAC. He's here. He's here for his second show. AP, have you and the word reliable ever been put together before?
Not in 37 years, they haven't.
Not in 37 there. Well, it's getting put together
I'm
today.
saving it for the 50th podcast.
Yeah. You're the most reliable guy for this podcast. Even Stephen Nolan didn't show up today.
I know.
The man flu.
Yeah,
man flu.
I think it's quite a hot topic. I believe DMAC said that UK people whine a lot. Was that your words? Did I misquote you?
I mean, if you're quoting the last podcast, then that would be pretty relevant. And yes.
Yeah.
So
would you say Steve's probably overblowing how sick he is then?
I mean, but the probability is high. That's the right word for it.
I think probably it's not the right word though. I think probably the best English word is he definitely.
Definitely.
Hey, Sledge on Steve podcast.
Yeah, it's about time actually.
Yeah, it's been you. Yeah, it's been you most of the time, AP. So I'm glad to lay it on Steve this time around.
I've got skin.
That's good. I wish we were popular enough that we could influence Steve's mentions on social media. Oh. That should be our goal, is to get to a stage where we can influence and have people letting Steve know that he's definitely not sick.
That we should make a hashtag Sea of Steve because he's
sea
a pirate. Sea of Steve.
The Sea of Steve's podcast.
Steve.
Sweet. Oh, well, I guess I should stop sledging Steve and let you guys know what we're doing today, because we have a lot of exciting segments coming your way. But let's start off. We've been doing a lot of nostalgia segments. So today I want to start off by asking something along the same lines. I want to find out how your favorite sport, or a sport that you've watched, uses technology in their kind of day-to-day operations, and how does that make them better? So as soon as I decided I wanted to ask you guys this, I already knew what I was going to talk about. I cheated. I assumed AP knew what he wanted to talk about, because there's one particular, reliable. DMAC, I didn't know what you wanted to talk about. So should we start with you? Should we put you on the spot? Yeah, there we go.
A sport that I think I really like there, not just like the sport, but like the utilization of technology. And welcome to the Red Room, by the way, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me. This room that I'm in today at Microsoft, I find myself in New Zealand today, so saying hello to Fletch. But I found myself in a meeting room with a light right against some red features, sound dampeners on the wall. Just makes me look like I'm in an abattoir.
Can we overlay a Sting song across that? Can we play Roxanne as he talks? Or
I could probably pay like 14 seconds. That's not enough for a copyright infringement, right? So,
correct, exactly.
Just sing it softly in the background.
Yeah.
All right. So a sport that I really liked. Let's be real. There's a lot of bandwagoners in New Zealand, and around the America's Cup, which is the yachting races of it. I feel like that's one of the most significant bandwagoning events in New Zealand's history. Nobody cares in New Zealand about yacht racing as much as when the America's Cup is on and we are racing in it, and it looks like we might win. When we might not win, it's barely even in the news. But from my youth, watching the America's Cup when I was quite young, and then even just before I left New Zealand, there was a progression in how they use technology with digital mapping, with 3D mapping, with real-time analysis, using machine learning to chart the likely courses trajectories, wind. All of the information was in front of you in real time and really easy to understand. I, as a basic user, a bandwagoner that could come in at the very last minute and support, I could really tell what was going on, who might win, and I could get a lot of context from when the discussion was talking about tacking, how and why. They could show models of how the boat would probably verge off at different points. They could use ink in their digital models and ink around where and how things were moving, and bringing it in all in real time in those 3D models that they did. I think that was a real impressive use of technology. And again, it brought me in from being a layman to being able to understand what was going on and being able to enjoy it.
That's good. Cool. It's good. When you started off that conversation, it's like, I'm going to be real. I thought you were going to say, I don't like any sports, but it's good to know you bandwagon on the America's Cup.
Well, anybody who knows me was probably going to think, oh, he's just going to talk about video games again and esports, which I have to say that I was very much going to, but then I switched there at the last minute. So you're welcome.
Good call. Good call. What about you, AP? What about you?
Well, what a surprise. Formula One. Not everyone's cup of tea. Look at DMAC, he's blowing up already. I don't want to hear about your stupid data points. But I mean, I've been on this podcast. What's the word for today? Regularly. Yes, exactly. For a bit now.
Reliably.
So people, reliably, yes, and regular, yes. For a bit, and I guess everyone knows that I like Formula One. I'm not really too much into anything else, and because I'm a bit of a tech geek in disguise, I actually read something this week about how they changed the telemetry on the cars using cloud power, and machine learning and all that kind of stuff. So not every team uses Microsoft's version of cloud power, but that's not really the point. The point is of what's possible, I guess. So last race was pretty tight in Monaco, and I don't know if I said this on the podcast before, but every second a car goes around, 1.1 million data points gets recorded. But what I think people don't understand is that information gets via the local data center back to the UK where the team's head office is, and then back to the pit wall in real time. So 1.1 million data points. And so for a sport that runs on like hundredths of a second can make a difference is pretty amazing. And I read something yesterday about machine learning and fuel atomization, and you don't really need to know much about science, but it's basically how the fuel blows up in the engine. And obviously, when you're in a sport where petrol burn is really important, machine learning about how that's burning, what angle the car's on while that's burning, whether they're braking, all that kind of stuff is built in. And I just think it's a feat of amazement. Obviously, there's cables and that's set up to do that kind of stuff, but like, how are we doing that in real time when hundredths of a second matter in a sport? And they don't just do Monaco, right? They're not just near the UK. There's a race in Australia too, right? It's the first race of the year. They're still doing the same thing back and forth. Even down to the point where you were talking before esports. So Formula One esports is a big thing now. It's almost has got a popular as following as the real F1 does, which is cool. I still like to watch the original, but lots of people like to watch the esport. But the data models and the physics models that the teams are running when they're not on the track, guess where they're based on? They're based on the esports physics models that the guys are racing every day. So it's just an amazing part of technology that stuff can be modeled, kind of like their yacht racing too, DMAC, right? Like whether they're tacking here and how can they model. And then the cool thing is that, maybe they do all their tests and then on race day it drops by 2 degrees, which changes their tire pressure, which changes everything else, and they still need information and machine learning to be able to get the best out of the race. So I think that's incredible. So obviously not the only sport that does that, but I think just the timing thing and where time matters there and the speed of the cloud and all that kind of stuff and the power is just out of control.
That's so cool. So I want to talk about the NFL and to anyone who listened to the podcast pre-merge, that's no surprise because I think every second podcast I managed to bring the NFL up in some way, shape, or form. But I've like gone a whole like 5 episodes without bringing it up on.
Nah, not true.
On
You absolutely
EZANZ.
did last. Nah,
Did I?
100%. Yep, you talked about NFL last time.
I lied.
Didn't call you out, mate.
Sorry, guys. That's okay. That's okay. Hold me responsible. You know, that's good. That's something we do on this podcast. We hold each other responsible. You know, like that's how we roll. But yeah, so I love the NFL. I'm a huge Green Bay Packers fan. I love the like strategy and how intricate the plays get and how intelligent a lot of the players have to be, which kind of bucks a lot of trends, particularly if you're in a country who doesn't know a lot about football. It's like, hey, there's just a bunch of big guys running around smashing each other, which is 100% incorrect. But the NFL uses technology in a lot of ways. Yes, they've got an awesome deal with Microsoft where every player, every team has Microsoft Surfaces and devices, and they use that to, review plays that have just happened on the field, see what they did well, what they didn't notice, and they call that a read. So if there was a read that was open, so not covered by a defensive player or vice versa, they'll point that out on the film and they'll use inking to highlight that. But the other cool thing they do, and I wasn't going to talk about it, but I totally am now that AP talked about cloud services with F1, is every single player in the NFL who walks onto a field has a microchip in their shoulder pad. And that microchip lets the sends data back through the cloud as well, so that everything in the NFL can be like incredibly analyzed. So from the time it took for a rusher to get to the quarterback, and we know that the average time that takes is like just under 3 seconds for the quarterback to get rid of the ball, which is fast, right? That means he's having to look at 11 guys on the field, read if he can pass to someone that's open, whether he needs to check down to like dump it off to a running back because he's going to get sacked or he's going to get smashed to avoid interceptions and stuff. Like these guys, human minds have to be trained to know exactly where the receivers are going to be. Some of it's based on timing, right? So they'll take 5 steps back, and each step they count in the head, and they know that means the receivers are going to be here, here, and here. Like it's crazy. But the fact that they can break down into that, we can tell how many times a quarterback gets pressured. So he might not have been tackled and sacked, but so defensive player got close to him. We can tell how fast people are going. So like every week, they usually have a video of like the fastest player of the week. So seeing who goes really fast in whatever position, they can tell how much yards are created in between like the linemen, so the big guys at the front. You can tell with that chip, it's like, oh, there was a gap of like 0.8 yards, which is more than average, and so a running back should have been able to squeeze through there. They like the way they break down the game now is crazy. And there's actual like people get so into the NFL that they subscribe to websites like Pro Football Focus or Next Generation Stats, who are the 2 big companies who come up with NFL stats, and they'll actually pay so that they can look at the stats like in depth for their team. Like they have no reason to need to know these stats, but that's how much of a following there is they'll pay just to get an understanding so that they understand it themselves because they're that invested.
Wow.
So it's crazy. I love it.
That's so cool. I thought I was the only one who cared about like data and sport and stuff, right? But like I was just thinking while you were talking, wouldn't it be cool if we could like, get it into, and they're already doing it. It's the same principle, whether it's a race car or whether it's humans running around on a field, that we got those data points. Wow, that's insane.
It's so crazy, right? And like that shows you how much money is kind of in sports as well. Like an average NFL team is worth like $1.5 billion. It's crazy. So they have so much data that they rely on because it's so big. What was that, D-Mac? Oh,
that's insane.
It's insane. It's
value of the teams. And,
It's crazy. It's absolutely mind-boggling. So hopefully that was interesting to people who watched. And if there's another topic that you guys have and want to ask us about, put it down below. We'll do our favorite. Chuck us a comment and tell us what you want to hear about next week. Whether it's how does cooking use technology or whatever. We want to answer your questions and tell you a little bit of a story about ourselves.
How does cooking use technology, Fletch?
I've seen them use test tubes before and, find out how different chemicals work with each other. I'm sure there's some technological stuff behind that. I don't know. The meat thermometers that you can buy ovens with meat thermometers, so you know how warm it is on the inside. That's using technology, right? That's got some.
I've actually been to a steak restaurant where they used, and I'm not sure of the technology, but same stuff. If you can pop it on or sort of shoot it at your forehead to get the temperature.
Oh yeah.
They cut the steak open and they stood there and they're like, because I don't know what I asked it for, and they're like, yep, okay, cool, you can eat that now, and I'm like, wow, what are you doing? So yeah, I guess there's more stuff than we take credit for there, right?
Mm. Okay.
Absolutely. Okay.
Got under pressure there, Fletch. Well done.
Yeah, I tried to wing it, tried to do it, and AP came back because he's reliable and he had my back. Should we just remind who's not reliable? Steve Nolan, because he's not here. Let's, we'll have that.
Hashtag Sea of Steves.
Sea of Steve. D-Mac. I got really taken with your news segment last week. And you got me hungry. You got me hungry for more news.
Okay.
Tell us some news.
We hadn't planned that just yet, so I'm hoping that this works out. But I think the very first thing that I'd like to start with when talking about the news is obviously 1903 landing. So I think we saw.
Not the year.
Yeah. So the new Windows
landing.
Yeah, wasn't that 115 years ago?
Yeah, it was.
I
think so. But you're wrong in this case. 1903 is the code that we use for the most recent version of Windows Landing. It's also being dubbed, I believe, the May update. I don't want to use May or March because that's just how that Microsoft labels it up the chain a little bit. I'm going to call it 1903 right now. This update, while it doesn't bring as many changes in terms of the broader features that we would have seen in some other updates, like the Creators update, bringing the Windows workspace, fundamental changes to Windows like that. 1903 brought a lot of accessibility updates and functionality updates and optimizations. So we're seeing a lot more go into or from the control panel into the settings menu. Some new features above in that settings menu, so you can see where your Microsoft rewards are. And for those that don't know, Microsoft rewards are when you're logged into a browser and you're using Bing to search or Xbox to play games or whatever like that. There's a bunch of different categories to earn points on Microsoft rewards, and you can actually spend them for real credit in the Microsoft rewards store, I believe they call it. So you can trade your points in for buying real stuff. There's everything from devices to vouchers in there to credit in the Microsoft store. So you can buy videos or TV shows if you'd like to. But that's a really good shout out for that. You can manage that and see that now in the settings menu just along the top, which I think is really great. But I'm just pulling up my notes here just to make sure that I get everything. There's been some really nice changes into the action center. So when you swipe to the right of your device on the bezel, if it's a touchscreen laptop, just like that. You can also tap 4 fingers down on your touch pad to open up the action center. Or there's a little button for it down the bottom right-hand side. I think I can hear myself coming out of your speakers, which sorry. But now, instead of having a button that can cycle you through the different brightness settings, there's a bar there. And brightness works a little bit differently in 1903 than it did in previous versions of Windows. In the past, when you're plugged in, there was a plugged-in setting for brightness, and then when you were unplugged, there was an unplugged setting, and it would usually be a little bit more dull when you're unplugged. That doesn't work that way now. It's the same brightness on or off being plugged on your laptop, but there's a nice slider bar so you can get exactly the brightness that you would like. And we've even added in new features for Focus Assist. So when you use Focus Assist now, you can set it up so that when you're in full screen, i.e. you're presenting, nobody can bother you. Notifications won't come through. But when you're out of that full screen mode, you can get your notifications again. Yeah. It's really nice.
Or when you're watching Netflix and stuff, right? You don't want a Teams notification coming up in the middle of Netflix.
It's a really good point. That's a really good point. Sorry, Teams team, but yeah, that's definitely one of the times that I don't want to be interrupted by my boss asking me to do work. And then the other things that I really much like here, there's a bit of a split now between Cortana and Search has gotten a lot more features into it. You can see obviously apps and things from there, but you can also access your documents, and you can search within emails straight from that Search tab now. Still on your taskbar, sorry, but it's broken away from Cortana. So it doesn't require Cortana to be logged in. It doesn't base itself on Cortana features, but those are two separate things now on your taskbar, which I really like. And of course, light mode is introduced, dark mode is still around, and you can use that, but a lot more transparency features are being added, and you can uninstall some applications if you're not using them that you used to not be able to uninstall. Something that I really like, though, is that the background of Windows has been optimized and built and changed a little bit more. So this is the fastest update on average to install on Windows 10. Like I said, I think last podcast we talked about it. The average time for install was like under 20 minutes now for this update, where it was almost 90 minutes for the very first update on Windows 10, sorry. But also the restart time for most laptops, especially entry-level laptops, has become a lot faster. And I think we're seeing some really great progress in just the functionality and the speed and ease of use of Windows. So big thumbs up from me. I think it's a really great update. And things like Game Bar have been changed as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys use Game Bar?
I don't. But I was just going to attest to the point of the speed of the update. I've just literally done that on my backup PC here, and it was done in about 15 minutes.
Wow. That's awesome.
Good. Crazy. I just used the update assistant and just said, I think we're calling it the May update. It doesn't matter, whatever, the latest version of Windows on there. And I just let it go. And I came back, I'm like, oh, it's done already. So it was pretty cool.
I kind of think of it as like the update of the sneaky big updates, right? So like, even though there's not been tons of like big features like, Focus Assistant and, timeline drop, it's polished everything and changed some of those things that kind of bugged people a little bit. So it's those small features that end up being just so big in that user experience, right? And so it's actually, I think, such a needed and such a good update to come out at this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So right now, I was actually just trying the Game Bar, and some of the things that I really like to point out. There's a HUD now on the very top for broadcast and capture and all the settings and things. But on the bottom left, I can see my performance. So if I'm inside a game full screen, I can see how my GPU, my CPU is doing, how much my RAM's taken up, if I need to close something down in the background to improve performance on my device. And I can also message people in the Xbox Social platform. It's in beta right now, but that'll be out in full. And I almost forgot, team. I almost forgot.
What did you almost forget?
Using the Windows button and semicolon for adding in new types of emojis.
Yes, this feature update.
Oh my God. I believe they're called K-emoji.
K-emojis?
K-emoji?
Is it Kai? It's something like that. We're probably pronouncing it horribly wrong.
That's right.
This is
the
singular most useful part of the May update is being able to type out new emojis to send to AP.
Yeah, I love emoji, man.
I went to Yeah, I went to try it yesterday, and I actually did have AP in mind to just spam with some real, useless emojis. But I didn't have the update roll out to me yet. But it's coming through right now because I'm at work. We have court managed devices, so we have to be on the network. So expect some Kai emojis coming your way, AP. Expect it. It's gonna happen.
And then the last bit of the news section here, I really wanted to get your feedback. I'm going to pull up the article that I was just having a look at here. And it is on Minecraft Earth.
Oh, this looks cool.
So cool. So just having a look at my notes here, Microsoft revealed Minecraft Earth around about a month ago. But in the last couple of days, we've seen, or in the last week, sorry, we've seen real life demos of this at WWDC. Don't ask me what that means.
Yeah,
I didn't write down the full name. Worldwide Developers Conference.
Yeah.
And so effectively this game, you're able to point on a phone and you'll be able to see other players and what they're doing. So if they're mining, if they're adding stuff, you'll see like the little pickaxe, little Minecraft pickaxe going ham when they're doing stuff there. But you're building stuff in the real world. Well, sorry, in the Minecraft world, on the real world, it's staying permanent. You can build your castles and stuff in your friends' houses and collaborate together and have fun. And it is mind-blowing. It is so cool. So I'm really looking forward to this game. In terms of the AR games, especially mobile ones, this is just so unique.
It looks beautiful. Like I've seen some of those sneak peek pictures from when they were demoing it at that event. I've never seen something Minecraft related look so nice. Like it looks like it's got extra details. Like it's like the super fancy graphics pack drop 2 has come in this game and made it look really nice. I've heard it termed like Minecraft's Pokemon Go for people who kind of don't know what AR is. So like it's augmented reality. So you're using your screen to view something digital in the real world.
Yeah. Absolutely. Have you seen the demo, AP?
No, I haven't actually.
I'll send it to you after this.
Yeah.
But my idea with this is that when you're hanging out with your kids, you guys could be building a castle together and putting a roller coaster around that castle in the living room as your like sort of playtime. And then there's no blocks to clean up with, and you can turn the device off and go do something else afterwards. But I think it's such a cool.
That is super cool, man. That makes it relevant for me because I don't do Minecraft or whatever, but I'm sure my kids are going to get into Minecraft, and that'll be a really cool thing to be able to do when we do that.
Absolutely, that's so cool. I'm excited. I'm excited to get hands on.
Me too.
Is that the news? Have you blown our mind enough?
I feel like that's enough news that all you guys can handle today. So put it out to you.
That's for anyone who doesn't know, DMAC is smarter than us, and he's making it obvious in that statement.
Oh, stop it, Eli.
Oh, you. Okay. So, moving on to kind of our last segment for today. We're not going to do a game review this week, but we will have more coming at you. Keep checking out our YouTube channel, of course, or ExpertZone for all that content as we release it. But the last section, it's something that I've been wanting to ask you guys for a while. It's not related with Office this week, but I want to know, what is your one singular favorite OEM device?
Ooh.
Does anyone want to start off?
You go, Fletch.
Yeah. Okay. This is hard. This was a hard one for me. It was like, do I go for a gaming style device? Do I go for a premium device that I just really like? Do I go for a mainstream device which I think like suits so many different customers? And I was like, there's one device I can't get past because like every time I thought of another device, this one was like that one that came up in my head to compete against it. And that is the HP Spectre X360. and it's a device that personally I absolutely love. I love the design of it. I love the colors of it. It comes in like a Poseidon blue or a rose gold, which looks amazing. I love the little parts of design, and this is something that HP actually do really well with their devices. But when their designers are making a new device, they actually go around to all the like fashion shows and interior design shows all around the world in Europe and stuff to get inspiration to bring back into the PC marketplace. And you can see that really permeating through with the like kind of geometrical design that the Spectre X360 had. You know how it has the cuts in the corner, and those corners have different ports on them, so they're functional as well as cool looking. I think that's awesome. Like when I literally at my house, I've got a little candle with like a candle holder on our coffee table, and it's kind of got that same geometrical design to it. So you can see like, I think so many people have that now. You can straight away see how it just fits into your home decor. But it's also just a great machine, right? I love design. I love talking about it. We live and breathe it because it's something that everyone can see and feel when they lift it up. It's a light machine. It's a thin machine. I love HP fast charge, so I can put this device on for a half-hour charge and get half the battery life in it, which means I think it's a real long battery life. It's like I actually think it's like 18 or 19 hours that's claimed on it, and that's with you know local video playback. So you're getting your like 8-9 hours from a half an hour charge, which is mind blowing, right? That's a whole day charge. HP do great pens. It's also 4,096 points of pressure on it. You can customize the buttons, just like a Surface pen. The one thing it doesn't have, which I wish it did have, was a rubber on the back, because I'm so used to using that with my Surface Book. But I love it. Even little things, and like, I mean, we just talked about with the May update, right? How little things really matter. But even the charger for the Spectre X360 is like a cool braided cable, and you don't really get braided PC charging cables, so it's a nice touch. And the whole reason for braided cables is because it is meant to help them bend and withstand getting like pushed together too hard and stuff like that. So definitely a device you can tell I'm a bit passionate about because I really like it.
You know, over your whole story then, that's the one bit there that I was actually the most excited about, like with the braided cable. No lie. For years, a lot of manufacturers have made some gorgeous devices, but then I felt like there was maybe a little bit of a letdown with how the charger was on those amazing PCs, and it was just the finishing touch. It's like the last little bits that you see of a device, and it's really cool that they stepped it up there. That's awesome.
That's cool. You just got one last thing that I thought of in you saying that. It even comes with a little clever sleeve. So your badass device has some badass transport out of the box. So boom, boom. Top that, guys. Top that.
Over to you, AC.
How do you follow that, really, especially when that was a device that I was going to talk about? And I'm really glad I didn't go first, because you gave it a way better review than I was going to give it. I think, can I go next?
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot less detailed and more functionality, life involved, but it's as much as I like that device and I really like the design of it, it looks amazing. I mean, you guys, I don't know but we travel heaps, right? You know, the weight back, really important to me, because not only have you got chargers, cables, adapters, blah, 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 blah. I think one of my favorite devices at the moment, as boring as it may seem, it's not so boring to me because there's some pretty cool colors and stuff, but it's kind of a sleek, stylish design, is the Dell XPS 13. I really like those. Yeah. Nice and light in my backpack, got all the ports that I need on it. The screen is stunning. And just this form factor, like this kind of, you know, as much as I like design, I'm a pretty plain and simple guy, right? So I just need this for work. I need it to work. I need it to have good battery life, be a modern PC, have good storage, that kind of stuff as well. But I don't want to miss out on some of the biggest Windows features. So Windows Hello is built in with the camera and all that kind of stuff as well too. So I think, and I see a lot of them in the airports as well too. And I'm not saying it's the only device for travelers, but at the same point, I think that kind of slim, laptop that's just going to be really light in your backpack, so you can fly in, fly out, do what you need for the day, is a super cool device. So yeah, that'd be my pick.
Agreed. And they even have the 2-in-1 device now, right? And I saw something that got me really hyped over the Computex announcements was Intel was announcing their 10th generation chips, and the XPS 13 was one of the few devices one of the few devices announced that are getting it really soon, announced with that chip, which I think was pretty cool.
And Dell at picking up the latest gen. They will refresh their range like halfway through its existence to give you the latest chip. It's quite cool.
Yeah, and you know how they always had the nasal cam, where like you had the camera down the bottom of the screen instead of the top of the nasal screen. Cam. Yeah, which was one of the very few criticisms I ever heard of the XPS. But they actually moved it up the top, didn't thicken the bezel at all, but they just did some wizardry to make it fit into that real thin space there and still have Windows Hello on it, which is sick.
It's sick. So
sick. But if you guys didn't get it, that was a sledge at the Australians with their enunciation of sick.
Really? That's the best you got? Yeah, cool.
Well, it's one of them. We're not very pointed, obviously, in our sledges. All right. So my favorite device, and I'm sorry I'm cheating on this a little bit because it's not a current device. It is a concept one. It is. I'm reading again on my notes here.
The triple monitor gaming computer.
That would be so sick and real in line with me, right? But no, Intel have shown off a prototype internally at their offices called Honeycomb Glacier. Honeycomb Glacier is a PC. And picture this. You've got your
cool as ice at the same time.
So cool. Now you open it just like a regular clamshell. It's got the keyboard there, but on the base there is another screen as well. And so when you lift this laptop up, that screen can kind of turn up towards you. So your base is here, your screen is there, and then another main screen is over here as well. So down on that first screen, the smaller one, and I'm just reading up on its resolution. It's 1920 by 720, 1920 across by 720 up. So it means it's a lot thinner, and it means then that you can have YouTube, Twitch, or the document that you're reading from in that small screen down the bottom, and then your main work at the top side. And what I really like about this is that often when we're seeing travelers around the place or we're seeing people in offices, they have a laptop stand with their laptop as well, just to bring it up so it's in a bit of an ergonomic space. And this device does that because it literally has 2 hinges for the screen instead of 1. So it stands up on a base, and it can mean that you're looking at it straight, not hurting the back of your neck, but looking straight at it and being able to work on a full-size keyboard as well. Honeycomb Glacier, it was shown off internally. Intel are doing some really cool innovation with this. I doubt that we'll actually see this device in stores or ready for sale, but it looks like a prototype to help as a concept. Yeah.
I'm totally not a hardware freak at all sometimes, but I had to look that up just then, and it looks sick. The pivot is really, really cool. That is that you can actually run something in the lower screen, and at the top it kind of makes it different from having dual monitors. That's a different type of thing, right? Where it's encrypted in the same device. That's really cool, man. I hope they. Well, obviously they're planning to do something with it, so I hope they bring something out like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, I had to do the same thing. I had to just search it in. It's like a real interesting form factor.
Yeah. There's a few laptops that were shown at Computex with that screen down on the base, but none that could come up. And I love it because most of them are touchscreen as far as I've seen, if not all of them. So you can interact with them as you're going, and it's just so in line. You don't have to have developers code and build stuff just for your unique device. It's just a screen. Everything will work on it. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's dope. Are they touched?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
Yeah, so even if you had like buttons on there, or if streamers were using it as like a console for managing their stream, so many
What
possibilities.
what about even like I guess I don't want to stretch this out, but we're just trying to think like as a control panel as well too. Like if you're doing animation work, right, you can use that back and forth between or whatever. I guess the possibilities are endless really with it.
Absolutely.
But that's super cool. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is super cool.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I'm glad you talked about it now, D-Max, because that's just a height that we can end on, right? We can end on the Intel honeycomb glacier. It's as sweet as it is cool as ice. You know, it's got the tagline built in. We're good. We're good.
That is a
So,
sick name too.
yeah. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to yet another episode, again, of the EZANZ podcast. If you are watching this on YouTube, check out our links below to get on to ExpertZone, our training website, and our Mixer Stream channel. If you're on ExpertZone, vice versa, check out below, join our links, learn more, subscribe. Be awesome for us. We'll be awesome for you. And until next time, we'll catch you later.
See you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.